Hello, I'm Ed Rathmel and I'm here to talk about a new iBook Let's Talk About Math series. These materials were designed to help children make sense of addition and subtraction. Now, as the title suggests, Let's Talk About is important. We believe it's very important for you to have little math conversations with the child as they are learning. Read the problem, then sit back and watch and listen as the child solves the problem. You may have to rephrase some of the things they say. You may have to ask another question to prompt them to continue. But resist the temptation to tell the answer and resist the temptation to tell how to solve the problem. Then after they've solved the problem, ask them to explain. Again, watch and listen. And again, you may have to rephrase. For example, a child that's gone to school may say, I plus those numbers. And you can just simply say, oh, I see you added those two numbers. This, by listening to these little conversations and watching how the child does it, this is the way you learn what the child understands and what they don't understand yet. And you may learn about some misconceptions the child might have. Now, a child might struggle as they go through this process, and that's perfectly normal. In fact, struggling is what leads to an understanding because it causes the child to reflect on what they're doing and why they're doing it. A little struggle isn't a problem. Now, they may struggle with how to get the solution. In that case, you may want to go back and do some easier lessons. They may struggle with how to explain, and they'll learn that as they get more experience. Just as an example, I was in a first grade class a few years ago, and I asked the children to solve a word problem that involved adding 8 plus 2. Now, I saw one boy go, and he was mouthing the words 9 and 10. So I knew what he did. He started at 8 and he counted on 2 more. So later I asked for him, first of all, what did you get for an answer? He said, 10. He said, well, I saw you doing something there. What did you do? How did you solve it? No response. I waited about 20 seconds. It was perfectly silent. So I said, well, I saw you doing something with your fingers. Can you tell me what you did? I thinked. Okay, what did you think about? Numbers. Tell me what you were thinking about the numbers. I counted. How did you count? I counted very quietly in my brain. Well, we're getting there, but that wasn't quite the response I expected. Finally, I said, well, how did you count? What did you say to your brain? He says, oh, I said I started with 8 and I counted 9, 10. So you started with 8 and you counted on 2 more, 9, 10. He says, yes. Okay, it took about 2 minutes for that conversation to take place. Obviously, the child had not been asked to explain solutions very often before and didn't really understand how to explain his thinking. Now, the interesting thing was, I happened to be in a second grade class about 6 months later, and again gave a word problem that this time it involved adding 9 plus 7. And I saw this boy raise his hand immediately, and so I called on him, and he said, the answer is 16 because 10 and 7 is 17, and you only want to add 9 and 7, and so it's 1 less. I thought, wow. I didn't even ask for an explanation that second time. You may help children with their explanations by helping them with the language. They'll develop that. It takes experience, but they will get much better at it. By listening and watching the children as they solve and explain problems, that is how you find out what they understand, what they don't understand, and what you can do next. These materials, there's almost 600 lessons 5 to 10 minutes each lesson. There's enough to do several lessons each week for 2 to 3 years, and that alone, with all these experiences over an extended period of time, will help a child develop these number relationships and thinking strategies so that they're able to fluently and flexibly use addition and subtraction in everyday life and in school. These little math conversations can lead to a child who is very competent and confident in their work with math